Hey everybody, this is Perch. It's not for me. That's a phrase that a lot of people, I think, wanted you to use in comics. Maybe this isn't for you. Maybe this comic's not for you. People complain about a comic. Maybe it's not for you. And I've noticed that I've taken that somewhat to heart because, yeah, the reality is a true statement. There's a lot of comics that aren't for me. They weren't written for me. They weren't intended for me. And maybe weird things happen. There's a lot of grown men who love My Little Pony the comic. Arguably, that's not for them, but they like it, so it is for them. It's amazing how magic. Sorry, I said I'd stop doing that. Anyway, it. But I've gotten more comfortable saying, it's not for me, and it's easy to do that when, I'm doing the new comics every week. So if you show up to live streams on Friday, you'll see here are the new comics coming out. And next week, which I don't know when this video will air, but it's April 28th, I think. That's the new comic week. 118 comics. Last week, 116 comics. Not counting graphic novels, reprints, OGNs, just monthly floppy comics. When 118 comics are going to the shop, not including manga, not including all this other, stuff from Europe, back issues, 118 new comics from North America, then yeah, I could very comfortably say there's stuff here not for me. But there's this weird thing that's happened. I don't know if you've noticed it, but when you say this isn't for me, people start to get offended. And now I'm not saying that you say it with like a lot of salt, like this garbage isn't for me, or I hope this was for me, but then I saw it and it made me vomit, and so I determined it wasn't for me. Not like that, but just purely it's not for me. I'll give you a perfect example, one that I got flamed by pretty good. Somebody asked me, Ian, who actually helped convince me to start this channel, along with Glenn and Borvak, who I never see. I see Ian still. I see Glenn every now and then. I love Glenn. But I don't see Borvak at all. I don't know where Borvak went. Anyway, Ian says, "Hey, what are you liking the new Iron Man?" I think this is Christopher Cantwell's Iron Man, and my answer was a simple one: the current Iron Man run is not for me, and it's not. Now I can go into how I think the comic is terrible. I do. I think it's written poorly and the dialogue's bad. And no, it's not because Hellcat is in it. I actually think the comic would be better if they took Iron Man off the cover and called this thing Hellcat, because it really feels like that's what Cantwell wants to write, is Hellcat. The idea of a Tony Hellcat pairing, a romance, a friendship, but it has not been compelling. And the comic, which was meant to reintroduce Korvac, who is one of those kind of legendary, Avengers villains, hasn't been good. But rather than go into all that, rather than say, I find the dialogue atrocious. Now, granted, it's not Champions atrocious, but it's not for me. This comic is not for me, and I feel at peace with that. But mystery of mysteries, that apparently is not good. I got a lot of heat. Like, why isn't it for you? Is it because is it because Cantwell has pronouns in his bio on Twitter? No. There are plenty of creators who I like very much and look forward to reading and enjoy who have pronouns in their bio. I don't really pay attention to the bio. I know that might offend another group of people, but you can put whatever you want in there. For a long time, I had a Winnie the Pooh avatar in mind. What does that say about me? That I'm a weird furry? Probably that. But I don't really care. That's not a space that really means anything to me. You put whatever you want in there. And if you're trying to, the challenge is for the people who are, have their pronouns in there who really want people to use them. Because I think there's two types of people out there. There's a small group of people who put the pronouns there because they're trying to say, this is what I prefer. And, I've said this before. You asked me you want to call me to call you, His Holiness. I really don't care. It's your party, pal. But then I think there's a much larger group of people that have the pronouns in the bio because they feel if they don't, that they're going to get crapped on. And you might say that's ridiculous. Nobody would do that. I would like to share with you the emails that I've gotten with people upset because I don't have pronouns in my bio in Twitter. In fairness, I don't, because I don't care what you call me. Literally, you can call me whatever you want. I really, it's all right, especially on social media. I mean, I could care less. So go nuts, pal. I like to think of it as an open invite to you decide. You decide, and I'm good with that. But people get really, really fixated on that. So, kind of much in the same vein, there is this very saying this comic isn't for me. I guess it's not for me. Is apparently considered an insult. It's considered a slight. And once again, it's not like I'm saying, I thought I had sunk to the lowest depths I could when I read that terrible Iron Man 2020 event, but Catwell found a way to make a worse comic, and so it's not for me. I'm not saying that out loud. Well, I mean, I just did, but I'm not writing. I'm just saying it's not for me. There's lots of comics I can say it's not for me. And it varies. I know Wes. I'm on his show from time to time over on Thinking Critical. He enjoyed Tom Taylor's Nightwing. I did not. It was not for me. Sometimes things are not for me because they're dull. I don't like the character. I'll let you in on a secret, and I know this is it's going to shake everybody to their core. I've never really been a Nightwing fan. I go figure. I just never really have. I like Teen Titans. I like that comic very much. When Wolfman and Perez, and I love those books. Nightwing was my least favorite character by a mile. I think I pretty much I remember picking up that comic saying, "Why don't they kill Nightwing?" Because I hate that character. that's just me. Now, why is that? I have no idea. I just don't like the character. There's plenty of characters like that just they don't work. They're to the point. They're not for me. I think it's normal. Again, the reason I want to stress the amount of comics coming out in a week is when you've got 118 comics coming out every week. That's not by month. That's by week. Then it's normal human behavior to have some characters you like and some characters you don't like. It's normal that companies are going to publish things that you have no interest in. Nothing inherently wrong with that. Hopefully, out of 118 comics, there's something you're interested in. If there's nothing you're interested in, then I think you need to take a deeper look at that list. Because if I've seen people say things like, "There's nothing being produced in North America that I like. That's why I'm going to manga. Manga still knows how to draw pretty-looking women." In which case, I would say, "Sir, have you seen Dynamite? Have you seen some of the stuff from Xenoscope? Have you seen there are comics there for you every week. Every week I show a slide full of some pervy covers. They're out there. You can still find them. Granted, there's not a ton of them, but they're there. So I think there's always something you can find. That's the good news. But I just, like I said, I'm curious if anybody else has had that experience. For years, it felt like there was this narrative of, hey, if you don't like a comic, maybe it's just not for you. I've seen that thrown around all over the place. Granted, not as much lately. That seemed to be a 2017, 2018 kind of attack. Now, if you simply do what people asked you to do and admit and acknowledge that a comic is not for you, you're performing some kind of comic book hate crime, which I find just very baffling. Like, one, it defies common sense, and two, like, why are we all investing so much energy into this nonsense? If there's 118 comics out there, then I think it's kind of like the Oprah Winfrey Show. You get a comic, and you get a comic, and you get a comic, and we can move on from there. Would it be? Do I wish all 118 comics were comics for me? I mean, sure, but I wish I had $1 billion, and I wish I could, when the car ran out of gas, I could just pull over to the side of the road, abandon it, get into a brand new car, and drive that until it's out of gas. That would be great. I wish all kinds of things. that are not going to happen. So, to the point, some comics are for me. Cool. I'm enjoying X-Men Legends. I'm glad Marvel did that. There's an X-Men era that I'm very fond of in the 80s and the 90s, and so you're printing a comic with some new stories by like Luis and Walter Simonson, and kick ass. You bring in Peter David in next? Thank you very much. I am happy. What pleasures are we going to have coming up? What can we possibly get now? We want to put Anna Cinti on a book for a couple issues? That would be delightful. Let's do that. Chris Claremont's going to come in to do a couple issues. Perfect. That's what I want to see. That's great. Thank you for making something for me. I'm happy. I've got something I can read and enjoy. Works. How about you? How comfortable are you saying it's not for me? And have you noticed that suddenly it's not for me is not good enough? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course. Make sure you're still subscribed.